This is Wilson Morales from BlackFilm.com. We're here at the 2014 Tribeca Film Festival. I'm here with cast and talent regarding the new movie Five Star, which is directed by Keith Miller with his two stars, John Diaz and Primo. Seeing this movie, how would you best describe it? Is it a documentary? Is it a film? Is it a docudrama? Especially when you're playing yourselves.
For me, it's a narrative movie that disregards any distinction between fact and fiction. It's a clearly created story with a lot of reality in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm. So, talk to me about just creating this film and then bringing these two individuals along with it, where, like you said, it's a narrative, but they're playing themselves in a way. Mm-hmm. So, what's fact and what's fiction?
For me, there's one way to approach the movie, which is kind of like a Where's Waldo of fact and fiction. Like find the facts and find, oh, that's real, that's not. But my hope is that the story stands as a story interestingly and engagingly enough that that's not the central focus. The central focus is the story itself. And because at least some or a lot or not so much is true, it kind of activates what happens within the frame of the movie, but also activates it outside the frame of the movie, so in the so-called real world.
Mm-hmm. As Primo, obviously you come in here as the mentor who's experienced what John is going through, and throughout the film you're guiding him as far as knowing what to do and letting him know the risk that he's getting into. Right. Going into this, aside from what Keith wanted you to put in, what did you want to bring into the story?
Reality, I wanted to bring in my art, For one, acting is something I've always wanted to do, and when me and Keith first shot our first initial documentary, the gangbanging documentary, I was happy with it, and we kept in contact since then. And he came up with the idea, we shared stories, and I was all the way with it. I wanted to bring just the passion, the element of life, who I am, what I've been through, and Keith did a great job by taking that, putting it on film, on camera. It was wonderful. I just wanted to give everybody my heart. Mm-hmm. The real deal. This is a real guy, this is a real father, this is a real husband, this is a real son, this is a real man. This isn't your everyday actor who is told, hey, look, I need you to be a blood for the next 24 months until we're finished acting. No, this is a real blood. Hey, I need you to be a dad. No, I'm a real father, so I just brought reality.
And John, obviously, you're the center of it. You're coming in here as the adolescent, learning to come in on his own. You're being taught by Primo as far as what you're getting into, who your father was. What did you want to display as we see you in this movie, coming into his own and finding a little bit of rebellion in there with his mom, with Primo, as far as, as he's starting to figure out what's happening. What did you want to bring to the story?
Well, basically what Keith asked me to bring to the story, it was just me. Like, Keith had a real good structure. Keith had a real good outline of what he wanted my character so much as about. So when I came in, it was just kind of looking at each scene, trying to figure out each scene and trying to see what in this scene is reality to me, and what emotions I can grab out of this scene that's actual reality from my personal life. And once I got the grip of that, it really came easy, and it really and I was just trying to bring a different type of attitude, because I know who Primo is. Like, he's a real loving guy, but at the same time, I wasn't trying to be this tough guy. I wasn't trying to be this gangbanger. I was trying to be me, John Diaz, a young in the movie I play this good 17-year-old kid, a young teenage kid that's just really trying to figure it out and really trying to figure out life. And most kids that age don't really know what life is about yet. So that's the same way with me right now. It's a lot of this movie is really reality, just off the strength that the structure may not be reality, but those characters that you're seeing, those characters you see us portraying, those are our real selves. And we were just trying to bring ourselves to the camera as much as we can, because we felt like that was going to give the best performance for you guys to see, of course.
And Keith, talk to me about bringing these guys into the acting world and teaching them as far as the ways of expression, because that is a lot within this movie. It's seeing the expression for us, the audience, to find it believable. You know, even though we know these are the guys who are playing as opposed to them playing some guy named Tom and Harry, you know, they're playing themselves, but the expression goes a long way. You know, that's what, for me, as an audience member, find it to be more believable.
Right.
It's talking about how you were able to guide them, especially when they're coming into the acting world, where sometimes you see, you know, first-time actors, they seem a little stiff and so forth in their performance.
Yeah, that's a great question, because underlying that question is like the clear recognition that they are acting. A lot of people say, oh, you know, they're great. They just, what luck that they just happen to be great in front of the camera. But in fact, what it is they both come with a great readiness to explore the scenes with a deep emotional openness and courage, I would say. You know, this, from the very opening scene, the monologue with Primo, you're like, oh, this guy's really risking it all. Like, he's putting it out there, and we better deal with it in a way. So what I do in terms of preparation is, I think part of our rehearsal process would, if you had a camera on it, which I wouldn't like to have it would probably sound like a therapy session as much as anything else, you know, because it's really talking through kind of like the emotional center of it. I mean, I never thought this before, but in a way it's similar to what I say to the camera guys, which is, you know, you don't have to have it on their mouth, you have to have it at the emotional center of what's happening. And so these guys and the rest of the crew, like Wanda and Jasmine, my goal for them, the way that I talk to them about it is, where's your body in this one? Where's your feeling? How do you get to that, right? What's the thing that's pushing you here, and how do you push back on it? So the terms are very kind of physical and emotional, and I don't think that I would have different ideas with a trained actor. I would just probably use different language, but what it really takes is kind of a bond between us, a trust that they say, okay, I feel good, I can do this. And then setting up a kind of safe wall around everything by the crew, really, like the intimacy of the crew, and feeling like, yes, anything can happen here. So it's just kind of setting up the conditions and giving specific emotional kind of guidance for them to open themselves up to it.
Mm-hmm. Explain to me, maybe obviously you're the best one to talk about it, the title, 5-star. You know, obviously as we see it, we see two different posters. Is it going to be familiar to anybody who just happens to be in that area?
I would say 5-star, you know, honestly it defines from the blood term, you know, of boss, of, you know, reaching that peak. But to me, anybody can be a 5-star. As you said, you see John on the poster that says 5-star. You see me on the poster that says 5-star. You know, what do they give movies? 5-star ratings. That means it's the top of the class. It's beautiful. It's great. And as an individual, I mean, if you put your mind to something, you put your all into it, and you really give it your all, you're 5-star. Whether or not you fail or you succeed, you're 5-star because you gave it your all. You know, and to me, 5-star beyond just being who I am and my label. We're all 5-stars up here.
Mm-hmm.
We're all 5-stars. You're a 5-star. You know, you achieved something. You pressed hard for it. You know, you didn't give up. You know, that's a 5-star to me. Somebody who doesn't give up. Somebody who's honest, passionate, loving what they do. Someone who doesn't mind clocking in tomorrow and doing the same thing over and over again. And if I had to do this over again, I would.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the story itself, as you just mentioned just now. You know, who's the audience for this? Sometimes people hear this story about, you know, a guy who's part of the Bloods, and people either get turned away or they want to see something familiar to what they've seen in the past. You know, like it's going to be a menace to society. You know, anything that they can gravitate to that they've seen that they may want to get into now. You know, but this is not. You know, so the question is, who's the audience for this?
That, you know, that for me is always a tricky question that it would benefit me greatly to be able to answer more clearly. But I feel like the challenge is if people want to see a gang movie, like a tough guy gang movie with people shooting and all that stuff, they don't come see this movie. And I think that the kind of human complexity and intimacy and the families and the boy, girl, and the mother-son, they may not, someone who wants to see that might be like, oh, I don't like gang movies, I like these kind of movies. It's like, oh, that is this kind of movie. So, I think once people get in, from all different areas of interest, like romantic comedy to gang movies, I think people are like, oh, actually, I like this movie. but that's in a way the challenge, right? That it's not a strict genre movie. You know, one person wanted to call it a gang movie, a gang drama, gangland drama. I think that was the urban gangland drama, whatever those terms mean. And I just feel like if someone's going for one of these American gangster kind of movies and they go to this, they'll be like, geez, it's much like weepy scenes, like a boy kissing a girl, you know?
I mean, even if you take like the definition, gang movie, you know, what really is a gang movie? Because you have a label where a said-so person who is in a relation to a brotherhood is that a gang? We can call the what was the movie about the basketball kids?
Hoop Dreams?
Hoop Dreams. That could be a gang movie. You know, it depends on how you idolize that term. You know, how you define it. I wouldn't say this is a gang movie. I would say this is a film of life. This is a film of consequences. This is a film of repercussions. This is a film of actions. This is a film of everyday life, but in the eyes of a different person. You know, from different perspectives, from different angles, different sides of the street. You know, so I wouldn't say this is a gang movie. If someone is looking for a gang movie where there's the shooting and then somebody's getting beat up every 3 seconds and some chick's being called a hoe, this ain't the movie for you. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for a movie that you can get in tune with your heart, something that you can learn something from, something you can take something from, then this is the film to come see. If you're looking for a great film to talk about, to relate to, 5 stars a film to come see.
You guys have now been in the world, the acting world. Keith has brought you in. Where do you go from here? What do you want to do? What do you want people to see you in?
I mean,
you're gonna be like in Hollywood tomorrow, right? So Primo's good.
As I said before, I love acting. You know, I would love to have a career in acting. So I mean, if there are opportunities later on in life and they seem right, I'm all for it, you know. At the end of the day, I want to do something that I can provide longevity and stability for my kids, my wife. But I love acting, so I mean, if anybody's out there got a role for me, give me a call.
Are you a comedian? Can you act as a comedian?
I can do comedy, I can do a little British accent, you know, just a little bit of that. I can do it all, you know, but it's just up to the opportunity being laid before me. But I really do love acting, you know. It's something that I can get in tune with, so acting's definitely #1 for me.
And what about you, John? You know, this is the lead role for you. You can parlay this into something else. What do you see yourself doing?
Yeah, I definitely see myself acting more. That's definitely what I'm passionate about. I've been passionate about it for a while now, so it's just something that it feels good. I've done a lot of theater though, so film is very new to me, and I'm still getting very like aware of what I have to do and what I don't have to do. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like acting is something that I see myself doing for a very long time, and definitely I don't want to step on nobody's toes, but directing, I love to be in charge of stuff. Like I love taking charge of stuff, and like I feel like I'm a leader, so it's just only right.
Now you mentioned theater, so coming in from the theater world, was it a little easier for you to come in, you know, knowing you had to bring into this film?
Theater, like I walk into theater class, and the first thing I get told to do is talk louder and project my voice. And when a movie, the mic's right here, so it's like it's very different. It's very like. It's a lot different for me, I would say, but it's all like, and theater, a lot of theater roles that I've done, nobody ever asked me to play myself. So I was never, ever had the opportunity to do something like this. I always had to really like act, as Primo was saying, like turn into a British accent or do something else, or like try to be someone that I really wasn't. So this is the first time that I actually like, and I'm grateful that it's actually a huge movie, but we got to be ourselves in the movie, and that's the best part about it, because any casting directors, any agents out there that get to see it, they see us, and they really get to get a feel of what we are like, and that's just the best part about it.
And Keith, wrapping it up, you know, at the end of the day, what's a good reason for anybody to see 5 Star, whether it be at the festival or in theaters when it comes out?
I think it's a story that everyone's going to be able to engage with, kind of on a human level, because there's a bunch of different facets. But also I think it will challenge a bunch of ways of thinking about social conditions, people. I mean, even on a small level, the idea of a movie set in the projects or that in the gangland, like the idea that just when John pretends to be a player in one scene, his mom's like, "Don't be a player, respect women." Just that, you know, no hoes, no bitches, the complexity of Primo and him being a good father, but also these other things. So I think that's a challenging and exciting experience for anyone to see.